The massive doors of the Galactic Senate Hall slid open with a sound like thunder. Ji-won Kim stepped through first, her black diplomatic uniform crisp and perfect. Behind her walked 6 other humans, each representing Earth in this historic moment. They had waited 50 years for this day. 50 years of proving themselves worthy. 50 years of being watched and tested by alien civilizations that had crossed the stars long before humans learned to make fire. The Senate Hall was enormous. It stretched upward so high that clouds formed near the ceiling. Thousands of seats lined the circular walls, each one holding a representative from a different world. Some aliens looked almost human. Others were so strange that Ji-won had trouble understanding what she was seeing. There were beings made of crystal that sang instead of spoke. There were floating gas clouds that pulsed with colored light. There were creatures with too many eyes or no eyes at all. At the center of the hall stood a platform. This was where new members presented themselves to the Senate. Ji-won walked toward it, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. She could feel thousands of alien eyes watching her. Some were curious. Some were welcoming. But she noticed that many looked nervous. That was strange. What did they have to fear from humanity? Beside her, Do-hyun Park carried a data tablet. He was Earth's best expert in alien languages. He had spent 20 years learning how to speak to species that did not even use sound to communicate. His job today was simple: register Earth's name in the official Senate records. It should have been the easiest part of the ceremony. The platform began to glow as they stepped onto it. High above them, a crystalline being descended from the highest seat. This was High Chancellor Mordek, the leader of the Galactic Senate. His body was made of some kind of living crystal that shifted through different colors. Currently, he glowed a calm blue. Humans of Earth, Mordek's voice echoed through the hall without him actually speaking. The words appeared directly in Ji-won's mind. You have completed the probationary period. You have shown peaceful intent. You have shared your culture and learned ours. The Senate is prepared to vote on your full membership. But first you must complete the ancient ritual. You must register your world's true name in the archive. Ji-won bowed respectfully. We are honored, High Chancellor. Our world is called Earth, Terra, the 3rd planet of the Sol system. The archive requires more than your common name, Mordek replied. His crystal body shifted to a light purple. It requires your world's designation in the old tongue. The first language. The language of the precursors who came before all of us. Do-hyun stepped forward. This was his moment. He had prepared for this. He activated his tablet and connected to the Senate's archive AI. The archive was older than any species in the hall. It had been built by the precursors, the mysterious race that vanished millions of years ago. The archive knew things that even the oldest civilizations had forgotten. Archive, Do-hyun said clearly. We request Earth's designation in the old tongue. The air shimmered. A holographic display appeared above the platform. Ancient symbols began to scroll across it. They were beautiful and complex, unlike any human writing. Do-hyun watched them carefully. He had studied the old tongue, but no one truly understood it completely. The archive would provide a translation. The symbols stopped moving. They arranged themselves into a pattern. Then slowly they began to translate into Galactic Common, the language most species use to speak to each other. Do-hyun read the translation. His face went pale. He read it again, certain he had made a mistake. But the words remained the same. What does it say? Ji-won asked quietly. Do-hyun's voice shook slightly. It says, Death World Apex, or possibly the Cradle of Enders. Silence fell over the Senate Hall. It was the kind of silence that felt heavy, like a physical weight pressing down on everything. Ji-won looked around in confusion. Why had everyone stopped talking? It was just a name, an old name that probably did not mean anything important. But then she saw the faces of the alien senators. The ones who had faces anyway. They were not confused. They were afraid. A reptilian senator rose from his seat. His scales were a deep green and his eyes were sharp and intelligent. This was Councillor Vexitar of the Soren Collective, one of the oldest species in the Senate. Is this confirmed? Vexitar's voice was tight with tension. The archive has identified their world correctly? The archive does not make errors, Mordek replied. His crystal body had turned from purple to orange. Ji-won had learned that orange meant alarm. The designation is clear. Earth is the world marked in the precursor warnings. The forbidden world. The world we were told to never contact. What warnings? Jiwon demanded. What are you talking about? But before anyone could answer, Mordek raised one crystalline hand. This session is suspended. Emergency protocols are now in effect. The human delegation will be escorted to secure quarters. All senators will report to private chambers for classified briefing. Wait, Jiwon shouted. You cannot just stop the ceremony. We have done nothing wrong. We deserve an explanation. Mordek turned to look at her directly. His body flashed through several colors rapidly. Fear, uncertainty, and something else. Pity, perhaps. You do not understand what your world's name means, he said softly. But you will. And when you do, you will understand why the galaxy is afraid. Red lights began flashing throughout the hall. Alarms sounded. Alien senators rushed toward the exits, talking urgently to each other in dozens of different languages. Security forces appeared from hidden doorways, surrounding the human delegation. Hyejin Lee, Earth security officer, moved to stand protectively near Jiwon. Her hand went to the weapon at her side, though she did not draw it. Ambassador, what do we do? Jiwon watched as the Senate hall emptied around them. 50 years of work, 50 years of building trust, all of it falling apart because of an ancient name that no one would explain. We find out what that name means, Jiwon said firmly, and we prove that whatever the galaxy thinks about Earth, they are wrong. But even as she said it, she felt a cold feeling in her stomach. The fear in Mordek's voice had been real. The panic in the Senate had been genuine. Earth's name meant something terrible to these aliens. Something so terrible that it made thousands of advanced civilizations afraid of one small planet. What had the precursors known about Earth? What had they seen that made them label it a death world? And why did the galaxy look at humans with such fear in their eyes? Do-hyun stared at his tablet at the ancient symbols still glowing on the screen. Death World Apex, the cradle of enders. He whispered the words again, trying to understand. Around them, the Senate hall continued to empty. The celebration of Earth's membership had turned into something else entirely. A crisis. A moment of galactic panic. And at the center of it all stood 7 confused humans who had no idea why their home's ancient name had caused such terror. The diplomatic quarters were comfortable, but clearly designed as a prison. Jiwon paced back and forth across the main room, while the rest of the human delegation sat in frustrated silence. Large windows showed the planet Viridian Prime below, its purple ocean sparkling in the light of 3 distant suns. Beautiful, but they were trapped here with no explanation and no way to contact Earth. This is ridiculous, Hyejin said from her position near the door. She had been testing the locks every few minutes. They cannot just lock us up. We have rights under the preliminary treaty. Rights only matter when people respect them, Min Seo Choi replied quietly. The young cultural attaché sat in a corner, his tablet on his lap. And right now they are too scared to care about treaties. Do-hyun had not moved from his seat for 2 hours. He stared at his screen, scrolling through page after page of public galactic records. His eyes were red from reading, but he refused to stop. Somewhere in all this information, there had to be an answer. Find anything? Jiwon asked, sitting down beside him. Maybe, Do-hyun said slowly. I have been reading historical records from different species, looking for any mention of forbidden worlds or precursor warnings. Most of it is mythology, stories parents tell children. But there is one thing that keeps appearing across multiple cultures. He turned his tablet so Jiwon could see. The screen showed a simple image. A red circle around a yellow star. The universal symbol for danger. This symbol appears in the ruins of 17 different precursor sites across the galaxy, Do-hyun explained. Always with the same warning text. Roughly translated, it says, "Here lies the world that should not be found. Here breeds the species that will end all others. Do not seek it. Do not wake it." Jiwon felt her skin grow cold. They were talking about Earth? About humans? The coordinates match, Do-hyun said. Every precursor site that shows this symbol points to the same location in space. The Sol system. Our home, but why? Min Seo asked, moving closer to listen. What did the precursors see in humans? We are not monsters. We do not want to end other species. I do not think they meant we would do it on purpose, Do-hyun said. He pulled up another file. I found something else. A legend from the Velok species. They are bird-like people, very old civilization. Their ancient texts talk about the precursors visiting a world at the edge of known space. A world so dangerous that the precursors called it the ultimate test of evolution. He began to read from the text. On this world, life fights itself. Predator hunts predator. The very air and water conspire to kill. Disease spreads like wildfire. The climate shifts between burning heat and frozen death. Yet life survives, it adapts. It grows stronger with each challenge. And one day a species will emerge from this crucible that can survive anything, that can adapt to anything, and when that species reaches the stars, nothing will be able to compete with it. The room fell silent. Jiwan looked out the window at the peaceful purple oceans below. She thought about Earth, about lions and sharks and humans, about bacteria and viruses, about ice ages and heat waves, about how humanity had spent its entire history fighting to survive against a planet that seemed determined to kill them. They are afraid we will outcompete them, she said softly. Not through war, through simple survival. They think we are too good at staying alive. Before anyone could respond, the door suddenly opened. They all jumped to their feet. But it was not a guard. A small alien entered quickly, looking nervous. She had 4 arms and large, gentle eyes. Jiwan recognized her from the Senate orientation. Thalrin, a junior archivist. I should not be here, Thalrin said in rapid galactic common. But this is wrong. You deserve to know the truth. What truth? Jiwan asked. Thalrin pulled a data chip from her robe. This contains restricted Senate records. The full precursor warnings. The legends from every major species. The reason why your solar system was supposed to remain quarantined forever. She handed the chip to Doyun. The Senate is debating what to do with you. Some want to send warships to Earth. Others want to isolate your entire system. A few are arguing for understanding, but they are being shouted down. You need to understand what you are facing. Why are you helping us? Heejin asked suspiciously. Thalrin's large eyes looked sad. Because I have studied humans for 5 years during your probation. I have read your literature. Watched your history. You are not the monsters the legends describe. You are people. Flawed, yes. Violent sometimes, yes, but also capable of great kindness, great sacrifice. The Senate is making decisions based on ancient fear, not facts. That is wrong. She moved toward the door, then paused. There is a vote scheduled for tomorrow. The Senate will decide Earth's fate. If you want any chance of changing their minds, you need to understand what they fear. Read those files. All of them. Then she was gone, the door sealing behind her. Doyun immediately inserted the chip into his tablet. Files began to appear. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Records dating back millions of years. They spent the next 8 hours reading. The more they learned, the more impossible their situation seemed. The precursors had visited Earth multiple times over millions of years. They had documented everything. They had watched early mammals develop. They had observed the dinosaurs. They had seen mass extinctions and climate disasters. And they had been amazed by how life on Earth refused to die. One report talked about Earth's biodiversity. How it was 10 times higher than any other known world. How species competed constantly, driving each other to evolve faster and faster. Predators became smarter. Prey became more clever. Everything on Earth was locked in an eternal arms race of survival. Another report discussed Earth's diseases. How bacteria and viruses on Earth were more aggressive and adaptive than anywhere else in the galaxy. How Earth's immune systems had to be incredibly complex just to keep organisms alive. A third report focused on Earth's climate. How it swung between extremes. How ice ages came and went. How volcanoes and earthquakes constantly reshaped the surface. How early humans had survived multiple near-extinction events. We are from hell, Minseo said quietly. By their standards, we are from an actual hell world. And they think that makes us dangerous, Hyejin added. Jiwan found the final file. It was a personal log from a precursor scientist, written over 60,000 years ago. The scientist had been studying early humans in Africa. She read it aloud. Today I observed the small brain species again. They are weak individually, slow, no natural weapons, no thick hide or sharp claws. By all logic, they should be extinct. The larger predators hunt them. The diseases kill many of their young. The climate pushes them to the edge of survival again and again. Yet they persist. They work together in ways I have never seen. They make tools. They plan, they adapt. If this species survives, if it grows, if it one day reaches the stars, what will it be capable of? What could stop a species that learned to survive Earth? Jiwon set down the tablet. Her hands were shaking. They have been afraid of us for thousands of years. Since before we even built cities. Since before we knew what stars were. What do we do? Minseo asked. Ji-won stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the planet turned slowly in the darkness of space. Somewhere out there, the Senate was meeting, deciding humanity's future, preparing to judge them for the crime of surviving their own planet. We prepare our defense, she said firmly. Tomorrow I will speak to the Senate. I will make them understand that survival instinct does not make us monsters. That being good at staying alive does not mean we want everyone else dead. Will they listen? Hijin asked. Ji-won did not answer. Because honestly, she did not know. How do you defend yourself against fear that has existed for millions of years? How do you prove you are not the monster that ancient warnings say you are? Tomorrow would bring answers. For better or worse, tomorrow the galaxy would decide if humanity deserved to exist among the stars, or if Earth's children were too dangerous to be allowed to survive. The Senate Hall looked different this time. The seats were full, but the atmosphere was tense. Armed security forces lined the walls. Ships from 24 different militaries orbited the station outside, visible through the massive windows. Some senators wore what looked like protective suits, as if humans were a disease that might infect them. Ji-won stood on the central platform again, but this time she was alone. The rest of her delegation watched from a sealed observation box. This was her chance, perhaps her only chance to save humanity's future in the stars. High Chancellor Mordek descended from his high seat. His crystalline body glowed a steady orange. Still afraid? Still uncertain? Ambassador Ji-won Kim of Earth? His voice echoed through the hall. The Senate has reviewed the precursor records. We have confirmed your world's designation. We have confirmed the warnings. Now you will have one opportunity to speak before we vote on containment measures. Containment? Ji-won asked. What does that mean? It means, said Councillor Vextar from his seat, that we will surround your solar system with automated defense platforms. Nothing leaves. Nothing enters. Your species will be confined to Earth for your own safety and ours. That is a prison sentence for all of humanity, Ji-won protested. It is a precaution, Vextar replied coldly. The precursors were wise. They marked your world as forbidden for a reason. We should have discovered this before allowing contact. Now we must correct that mistake. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the Senate. Ji-won felt her hope starting to crack. But she forced herself to stand tall. She had prepared for this. I request permission to present evidence, she said formally. Mordek was silent for a moment, then nodded. You may present your case, but make it brief. Many here have already decided. A holographic display activated above Ji-won. She had spent all night preparing this presentation with Do-hyun's help. Images began to appear, scenes from Earth's history. You fear us because we come from a dangerous world, Ji-won began. You think that makes us dangerous. But you are looking at it wrong. Yes, Earth is harsh. Yes, we had to fight to survive. But that fight taught us something more important than violence. It taught us cooperation. The display showed early humans hunting together, building shelters together, sharing food. Humans are weak individually, Ji-won continued. We have no claws, no armor, no venom. We survived because we worked together, because we protected each other. Our greatest strength has always been our ability to cooperate. New images appeared. Human art, music, literature, scientific discoveries. We are not just survivors. We are creators. We make beauty. We ask questions. We dream of better futures. Is this what you fear? Senator Kelvorn rose from his seat. He was a tall, thin being covered in silver fur. Beautiful words, he said. But we have also seen your history. Shall we discuss your wars, your genocides, your destruction of your own planet's environment? The holographic display changed without Ji-won's control. New images appeared. Human wars? Cities burning, nuclear explosions, pollution choking rivers and skies. This is what the precursors warned about, Kelvorn said. You fight each other with terrible weapons. You poison your own world. You cannot even make peace with your own species. How can we trust you among the stars? Ji-won felt the Senate turning against her. She had known they would bring up humanity's darkest moments. But seeing it displayed so starkly, she felt shame burn through her. Then Yoon Ji-han's voice came through her earpiece from the observation box. Tell them the truth. All of it. Ji-won took a deep breath. You are right, she said quietly. We have done terrible things. Humans have killed each other over land, resources, beliefs. We have hurt our planet. We have made mistakes that cost millions of lives. The Senate grew quiet. surprised by her admission. But we are also the species that learned from those mistakes. Ji-won continued. We are the species that banned nuclear weapons after seeing their horror. That created global cooperation after devastating wars. That united to save our environment when we realized what we had done. We are not perfect. We have never claimed to be. But we are trying. Always trying to be better than we were. Do-hyun's voice came through her earpiece now. The translation. Tell them about the translation. Ji-won nodded. Counselors, I have learned something important about Earth's designation. Do-hyun Park, our linguistic expert, has been studying the old tongue. He believes there is a translation error. May he present his findings? Mordek considered this, then gestured permission. In the observation box, Do-hyun activated his own display. The phrase Deathworld Apex is not quite right, Do-hyun explained. His voice shook slightly with nervousness, but he pressed on. The old tongue is complex. Context matters. I believe the correct translation is not Apex Predator World. It is Apex of Death Worlds, meaning the ultimate challenge world, the hardest place for life to exist. He brought up precursor symbols showing how they could be interpreted differently. The precursors were not warning about aggressive predators. Do-hyun continued. They were documenting a world where life itself is constantly challenged, where evolution happens faster because the pressure to adapt is so strong. Earth is not unique because it breeds killers. It is unique because it breeds survivors. Ambassador Rin Nash stood up. She was from the Phalara species, mammalian beings known for their careful thinking. This is an interesting point. But it does not change the fundamental concern. If humans are ultimate survivors, if they adapt faster than any known species, what happens when resources become scarce? What happens when there is competition? Will humanity not simply outcompete everyone else? Maybe we would, a new voice said. Everyone turned to look at the observation box. Sun Ho-yoon, Earth's military liaison, had stood up. He was not supposed to speak. This was Ji-won's presentation. But he continued anyway. Maybe humans would outcompete you in some ways, Sun-ho said. Maybe we are better at adapting, better at surviving. But that does not mean we want you gone. On Earth, we learned that cooperation is better than competition. We learned that diversity makes everyone stronger. We do not want to replace you. We want to learn from you. Bold words, Vextar said. But how do we know you speak truth? Before anyone could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the Senate hall. Red emergency lights flashed. Mordek's crystalline body blazed bright white with shock. What is happening? Ji-won demanded. A holographic display appeared in the center of the hall. It showed a star map, a distant system on the frontier, and around one planet dark shapes were appearing, ships, thousands of them, all identical, all moving in perfect coordination. Voidborn, Mordek said. The word came out like a curse. They have reached Talax 7, the colony world. Chaos erupted in the Senate. Senators began shouting in dozens of languages. Some demanded immediate evacuation. Others called for military response. But Ji-won could hear the fear in their voices. What are Voidborn? She asked. Rin-ash turned to her, and for the first time Ji-won saw real fear in the alien ambassador's eyes. Death, they are death. A hive mind from beyond our galaxy. They consume all biological matter. We have fought them for 20 years. We have never won. 3 fleets have already been sent to Talax 7. All were destroyed. On the display, the dark ships began descending toward the planet. Population counters appeared next to the planet's image. 3 million colonists, multiple species, all trapped. Mordek raised his crystalline hands. The vote on Earth's status is postponed. We have a more immediate crisis. All military forces are to report for emergency deployment. But Ji-won saw something in that moment. An opportunity. A chance to prove that humanity was not the threat the galaxy feared. Let us help, she said loudly. The Senate fell silent. Everyone stared at her. Let Earth help fight the Voidborn, Ji-won said. You say we are ultimate survivors. Dangerous because we are good at war. Then let us prove that our skills can be used for good. Let humanity save those colonists. Vextar laughed bitterly. 3 fleets have failed. What can humans do that we cannot? Ji-won looked him in the eye. Maybe nothing. Maybe we will fail too. But you said yourselves that humans are adapted for survival, for competition, for fighting impossible odds. If anyone can find a way to win, maybe it is us. The Senate erupted in debate, but Ji-won could see Mordek considering her words. Could see other senators nodding slowly. This was humanity's test. Not a vote or a debate, but action. Real action against real danger. Very well, Mordek said finally. Earth may send advisors, but this changes nothing about the vote on containment. We will see what humans can do. Then we will judge. Jiwon felt her heart racing. They had one chance. One chance to prove that being from Earth made humans valuable, not dangerous. One chance to save 3 million alien lives and humanity's future at the same time. We will not let you down, she promised. The war room was filled with holographic displays showing the disaster at Talax 7. Taejin Park stood at the center of it all, his eyes moving rapidly from screen to screen. He had arrived just 3 hours ago with a small team of human military advisors. 3 hours to understand a war that had been going on for 20 years. 3 hours to find a solution that had escaped the combined intelligence of 100 alien species. Show me the previous battle recordings, Taejin said calmly. Captain Brixtal, the insectoid fleet commander, made a clicking sound of frustration. His 6 arms manipulated different controls simultaneously. We have sent you all the data. 3 separate fleet engagements. All resulted in total loss. The Voidborn adapt too quickly. They learn our tactics and counter them. Recordings played across the displays. Taejin watched carefully. The Voidborn ships moved in perfect coordination, like parts of a single organism. They surrounded enemy vessels and tore them apart with focused energy weapons. When the Galactic forces tried new tactics, the Voidborn adjusted within minutes. They are not adapting, Taejin said suddenly. They are predicting. What? Brixtal's compound eyes focused on him. Look at the timing. Taejin pointed at a section of the recording. Your second fleet tried a flanking maneuver here. The Voidborn countered before your ships even got into position. They did not react. They knew what you would do. Yuna Kang, one of the human pilots, stepped closer to the display. He is right. It is like they are reading your mind. Or more likely they are reading your doctrine. Our what? Asked another alien officer, a being made of shifting water. Your military doctrine, Yuna explained. Your standard tactics and strategies. The Voidborn are not just learning from each battle. They have analyzed how you think, how your command structures work, how you make decisions. You all use consensus-based tactics. You discuss, debate, decide together. That makes you predictable. Brixtal's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. Consensus makes us strong. It combines the wisdom of many species. It also makes you slow, Taejin said. Not cruelly, just stating a fact. And against an enemy that thinks as one mind, it makes you predictable. The Voidborn know you will always choose the option with lowest risk, the option that protects the most lives. So they create situations where the safe option leads to defeat. The room fell silent. The alien officers looked uncomfortable. Finally, Brixtal spoke. What do you suggest? Taejin pulled up a map of the Talax 7 system. We do what the Voidborn will not expect. We take risks. We make choices that look wrong. We be unpredictable. He began sketching out a plan on the display. The Voidborn have surrounded the planet in a perfect sphere. They are waiting for our attack. When we come, they will close the sphere and trap us like they did the other fleets. So we do not attack the sphere. Then how do we rescue the colonists? Another officer asked. We ignore the Voidborn completely, Taejin said. We send our ships straight to the planet at maximum speed. Right through their formation. They will expect us to engage them. When we do not, they will have to adjust. And adjustment takes time, even for a hive mind. Brixtal stared at the plan. That is suicide. We would be flying into concentrated fire. Yes, Taejin agreed. We would lose ships. Many ships. But some would get through. And once ships are at the planet, they can begin evacuation. Unacceptable, said the water being. We cannot sacrifice so many vessels. You already lost 3 entire fleets, Yuna pointed out, with nothing to show for it. This plan risks maybe 30% of the force, but actually saves some civilians. Taejin continued. Once the evacuation begins, we do something else unexpected. We split our forces. Half defends the evacuation ships. The other half attacks the Voidborn command node. What command node? Brixtal asked. The Voidborn are a hive mind. They have no central command. Every network has a core, Taejin said. Something that coordinates the whole. We find it, we destroy it. The hive will not die, but it will be disrupted. Even just a few minutes of disruption gives the evacuation ships time to escape. How do we find this command node? Brixtel asked. If it even exists. Pattern analysis, said Do-hyun, who had been quietly working at a terminal. I have been studying the void-born movement patterns from previous battles. There is always one ship that others seem to orient around. It is subtle, but it is there. That ship is probably the local coordinator. He highlighted several ships in the current void-born formation. These 5 ships. They are positioned at mathematically perfect points around the sphere. My guess is they are the command nodes. Take them out, the local hive loses coordination. The alien officers looked at each other uncertainly. This plan violated everything they knew about proper military strategy. It was aggressive, risky, and relied on individual initiative rather than group consensus. I do not like this, Brixtal said finally, but I like losing more. We will try your human tactics, but I want one of your people leading the strike wing. If this plan fails, I want everyone to know it was human strategy that caused it. Fair enough, Yuna said. She stepped forward. I will lead the strike wing. Are you qualified? Brixtal asked. Yuna smiled. I flew combat missions against human enemies for 10 years before we achieved global peace. I am very qualified. The plan was set in motion. 20 ships from 6 different species prepared for the assault. Yuna spent an hour briefing the strike wing pilots. Many of them looked nervous. They were used to careful, coordinated attacks. This plan required them to fly fast, improvise, and take risks. Very human things. As the fleet prepared to jump to Talax 7, Ji-won contacted Taejin from the Senate station. Are you sure about this plan? She asked privately. No, Taejin admitted, but the alternative is watching 3 million people die. I would rather try and fail than not try at all. Very human of you, Ji-won said with a sad smile. That is what we are, Taejin replied. Humans from Earth, from the death world. We are used to taking risks to survive. Maybe that is what the galaxy needs right now. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. When they arrived at Talax 7, the Voidborn were waiting exactly as predicted. The dark ships hung in perfect formation around the planet. As soon as the galactic fleet appeared, the Voidborn began moving to engage. All ships, Taejin broadcast. Execute the plan. Do not slow down. Do not engage. Straight to the planet, go. The fleet accelerated to maximum speed. The Voidborn formation began to contract, preparing to trap them. But the galactic ships did not slow down or change course. They flew straight into the enemy formation. Voidborn weapons opened fire. 3 ships were destroyed immediately. 2 more took critical damage. But the rest pushed through. The Voidborn had to break their perfect formation to avoid collisions. For the first time in 20 years of war, the hive mind looked confused. Strike wing, go. Yuna's voice rang out. 12 small fighters broke from the main fleet. They were fast and maneuverable. Yuna led them toward the 5 command nodes that Do-hyun had identified. The Voidborn tried to intercept, but they were still reorganizing from the unexpected breakthrough. On the planet's surface, evacuation began. Galactic ships landed and began loading refugees as fast as possible. The colonists had been preparing for days, hoping for rescue. Now that hope was real, but the Voidborn were adapting. The hive mind was learning this new tactic. More ships converged on the evacuation zone. Yuna's strike wing was taking heavy fire. 2 command nodes down, Yuna reported. Her voice was calm despite the chaos. Moving to target 3, another voice came over the comm. Strike wing leader, this is Fighter 7. I am hit. Engines failing. Eject and wait for pickup, Yuna ordered. Negative. If I eject now, I will drift into the Voidborn formation. I am going to ram target 3 instead. Do not do that, Yuna said. That is suicide. It is efficient, the pilot replied. It was one of the insectoid pilots, species that valued logic above all. My ship will do more damage this way. It is the logical choice. Before Yuna could argue, the fighter accelerated toward the command node and struck it directly. The explosion was massive. Target 3 was destroyed. 2 targets left, Yuna said quietly. All fighters pressed the attack. But more fighters were being lost. The Voidborn were focusing all their fire on the strike wing now. They understood the threat. I am hit, Yuna reported. Controls are damaged. I can still fly, but barely. Return to the fleet, Taejin ordered. Negative, Yuna said. I am closest to target 4. I can take it out. That is an order, pilot, Yuna laughed. It was a tired sound. Sorry, Commander. But you told us to be unpredictable. This is me being unpredictable. She pushed her damaged fighter toward the 4th command node. Voidborne fire tore through her shields. Warning alarms filled her cockpit, but she kept flying. Target locked, she said. She fired her remaining missiles. All of them. Then she turned her fighter hard, trying to escape the blast radius. The command node exploded. The Voidborne formation immediately lost coordination. Ships drifted. Some collided with each other. The hive mind was disrupted. Now, Taijin shouted. All evacuation ships launch. Maximum speed. The evacuation ships lifted off from the planet, carrying hundreds of thousands of refugees. They punched through the confused Voidborne formation and jumped to hyperspace, one after another, safe. On the bridge, Brixtal was silent, watching. The Senate Hall was different now. The tension was still there, but it felt different, changed. When Jiwan entered with her delegation, some of the alien senators nodded to her respectfully. Others still looked afraid. But the panic was gone. High Chancellor Mordek descended from his seat. His crystalline body glowed a soft green now. Calm. Thoughtful. The Talax 7 operation was successful, Mordek announced to the full Senate. Over 1 million colonists were evacuated. A second fleet is completing the rescue as we speak. For the first time in 20 years, we have defeated the Voidborne in direct combat. This is due largely to human tactical innovation. Murmurs spread through the Senate. Some sounded approving. Others worried. However, Mordek continued, the cost was significant. 14 lives were lost. 7 major vessels destroyed. The Senate must now decide if this proves Earth's value or confirms our fears about their dangerous nature. Councillor Vextar stood up. The reptilian senator looked tired. I will speak first, he said. I have been Earth's strongest opponent. I argued for containment, for quarantine. I believed the precursor warnings without question. But I have watched the battle recordings. I have seen what humans did. He paused, his clawed hands gripping the railing before him. They fought with courage. They took risks we would never take. They saved lives we had already written off as lost. But they also showed something I did not expect. Sacrifice. That pilot, Yuna Kang. She gave her life to save aliens she had never met. From species she barely knew existed, that is not the behavior of a species seeking to end all others. Vextar sat down slowly. I do not know what the precursors truly meant with their warnings. But I know what I have seen. I change my vote. I support Earth's membership. The Senate erupted in discussion. Jiwon felt her chest tighten with hope. But she knew the battle was not won yet. Senator Kelvorn rose next. The silver-furred being who had shown Earth's worst moments in the previous session. I too have reconsidered, he said. But I have concerns. Yes, humans can fight. Yes, they can win battles we cannot. But does that make them safe? Or does it prove exactly what the warning said? That they are too good at survival? Too effective at competition? He gestured to the holographic display above the Senate floor. Images appeared. Not of war this time, but of graphs and data. Earth's name translates to Death World Apex. Kelvorn continued. We have debated what this means. But perhaps we are focusing on the wrong word. Not Death World, but Apex meaning peak, meaning ultimate. Humans are the apex of what evolution can produce under extreme pressure. More data appeared, comparisons between human capabilities and those of other species. Humans can survive in wider temperature ranges than most species. They can eat a greater variety of foods. They heal faster from injuries. They can go longer without sleep. Their immune systems fight diseases that would kill most of us. They are not stronger or faster than many species, but they are more adaptable, more resilient, more persistent. Kelvorn looked directly at Jiwon. My question is simple. What happens when humans spread through the galaxy? What happens when they compete with us for worlds and resources? Will we be able to compete? Or will we slowly be replaced not through war but through simple survival advantage? The Senate fell quiet. This was the core fear, the real question that had haunted the debate from the beginning. Do-hyun stood up from the human delegation box. May I address that concern? He called out. Mordek considered, then nodded permission. Do-hyun walked to the center platform. He looked nervous, but his voice was steady. I have spent months studying the old tongue, learning about the precursors, and I have discovered something important. The phrase Death World Apex has a second meaning we have been missing. He activated his tablet, and ancient precursor symbols appeared above the Senate. In the old tongue, The word we translate as apex has two meanings: peak, summit, but also origin, source. Earth is not called Death World Apex because humans are the peak of evolution. It is called that because Earth is the origin of the ultimate test, the source of life's greatest challenge. He highlighted specific symbols. The precursors were not warning about humans specifically. They were warning about what Earth does to life. Any species that evolved on Earth would become ultimate survivors. Humans just happened to be the ones who made it. If dinosaurs had survived, they would be here instead. The danger is not humanity. The danger is what Earth creates, a new voice spoke up. It was Ambassador Rin Ash, the cautious mammalian senator who had been sympathetic to humanity before. So the solution is what? We accept humans and hope for the best? No, Jiwan said, standing up. The solution is to understand what Earth actually taught us. She walked to join Dohyun on the platform. Everyone keeps saying Earth made us into survivors, into competitors. And that is true. But you are missing the most important part. Earth also taught us cooperation. Because humans did not survive alone. We survived together. Images appeared on the display. Early humans working together. Building together. Protecting each other's children. Every species here evolved on worlds kinder than Earth, Jiwan continued. Worlds where life was easier. Where resources were abundant. Where dangers were manageable. You learned cooperation because it made life better. We learned it because it was the only way to survive. Our cooperation is not a choice. It is an instinct as deep as breathing. She looked around the Senate. You fear we will outcompete you. But that is not how humans think. When we see someone struggling, our first instinct is to help. Because on Earth we learned that everyone's survival is connected. If you let some people die, eventually everyone dies. We do not want to replace you. We want to stand beside you. Minseo spoke up from the delegation box. Look at our planet's history. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other. We divided ourselves by skin color, language, beliefs. We had every reason to keep competing. But we stopped. We chose cooperation instead. Not because it was easy, but because we learned it was better. If we could unite with other humans who seemed different, we can unite with aliens who truly are different. Yoonji Han added her voice. The galaxy has been at peace for a long time. That is wonderful. But peace without challenge creates stagnation. You said it yourselves. The Voidborn have been winning because your tactics are predictable. Your societies are comfortable. Earth's harshness gave humanity something the galaxy needs. Not aggression, innovation, the ability to see problems differently, to try new solutions, Sunho stepped forward. You are afraid humans will dominate through survival advantage. But think about what we are offering. We are not asking for special treatment. We are not demanding territory or resources. We are asking for one thing: to be part of this community, to contribute, and in return we will use our Death World skills to protect everyone. Make us your shield, your problem solvers, your people who take risks when risks are needed. The Senate was listening now, really listening. Jiwon could see it in their faces, in the way they leaned forward. The fear was still there, but something else was growing alongside it: hope. Mordek's crystalline body began shifting through colors, green to blue to purple to something like gold, colors Jiwon had never seen before. A proposal has been made, the High Chancellor said. Earth wishes to join the Senate not as equals but as specialists, using their unique abilities in service to all species. This is unprecedented, but these are unprecedented times. He turned slowly, his faceted body reflecting light across the entire hall. Before we vote, I will share something. A final precursor message that has been kept secret by the High Chancellors for millions of years. A message meant for this exact moment. The air shimmered. A hologram appeared, not symbols this time, but an actual precursor. The extinct species that built the archive and marked Earth on ancient maps. It looked almost human, but not quite. Taller, thinner, with eyes that held infinite sadness. When it spoke, the words came in the old tongue, but the archive translated instantly. If you are hearing this, then the species from the Death World Apex has reached you. Do not fear them. Yes, they will be strong. Yes, they will survive what kills others. Yes, they will seem dangerous compared to what you know, but they are also what the galaxy needs. We precursors evolved on garden worlds, easy worlds, and when challenges came that we could not handle, we faded. We could not adapt fast enough. We left you our technology, our warnings, our wisdom. but we could not give you what you will truly need. The ability to change, to grow, to survive real threats. The Death World species will bring chaos to your order, but they will also bring strength, renewal, the chance to face challenges we could not. Do not waste this gift by destroying them out of fear. Instead, learn from them. Grow with them. Let them teach you how to survive when survival truly matters. This is our final advice, our final hope, that you will be better than we were. The hologram faded. Silence filled the Senate hall. Absolute silence. Then slowly Senator Vextar stood. He did not speak. He simply raised one clawed hand in a gesture of support. The traditional Senate sign for approval. One by one other senators stood. Rinash, Chelvorn, dozens more, hundreds, not all of them. Some still sat still afraid. But the majority were standing. Mordek's voice rang out. The Senate will vote, all in favor of granting Earth full membership.